All right. Alex here is asking about candidates for the coordinator spots.
That's a great segment into exactly what we were going to talk about today. So I appreciate you, Alex Perez. I think there's a lot of good candidates, and we have spoken about the simple fact that Coach Cristobal is going to be very dependent on his coordinators because he's a CEO type of coach. Because he's going to be the only place you can see him being very hands on is offensive line, defensive line, kind of. Um, but he's going to be someone that just has that overseer look on everything and 10,000-foot look, but also make you feel as if he's in your back pocket and in your corner the entire time. He's going to be right there for you. So the number one name a lot of people are saying, I'm personally kind of iffy on this one, is Joe Brady. That's number one. Number two, I believe should be Kendall Brown out of Arkansas. I think it would be a great position for him to come from there, where they're embracing the offensive approach to a certain extent. They had a nice little jump out there. Um, the mixture, it would be similar because his head coach there, Coach Pittman, is a great offensive line coach, great recruiter on that front. So there'll be a lot of lot of similarities as far as that. And I think he would be a really nice fit here where he can blend the run importance that he learned at Arkansas with the pass heavy approach that we would love here at Miami, opening things up. I also think that Graham Harrell, USC's former offensive coordinator, now he doesn't have a job. He was let go. So you don't have to worry about salary and things of that nature. And Frank Ponce, App State guy from Miami, used to be on Coach Cristobal's staff when he was at FIU. They have a previous connection there. He coached at Coral Gables Senior High School, which where is the University of Miami? Coral Gables. So he has a lot of local connections there. Then you have the fan favorite and the family favorite of Ken Dorsey, someone who has spent his time building offenses from the QB position out. He has yet to call any plays. I will accept that. He does not call any plays. He was just promoted to QB and passing game coordinator this season for the Buffalo Bills. So he's had that step up in his responsibility. But you do talk back 5 years ago with what he did with Cam Newton, being his QB coach for 3 seasons, and then he had the big explosion as the MVP and Super Bowl attending year. And you also know what he's done with Josh Allen, a young man out of Wyoming who was kind of erratic and had some really weird throwing motion. And he's kind of built him from the ground up as far as how to fix his feet and how everything works all the way through and how he keeps everything together. And he's not throwing all over the place because he's just had such a great rocket arm that he could just make all the throws based on the talent. And Coach Dorsey has worked his behind off to really get him groomed up in the as far as the technical way of doing things. So yeah, he is number five on my list, but I think he deserves a great combination and a great conversation and an interview. I think at absolute worst, he deserves an interview to see what he can bring to the table here at Miami. Now, here's where I would go as far as a connection. I think Frank Ponce deserves to be a part of this program. I would love that. I would love him as a co-OC where they work together with someone else because he has a really dynamic way of the run game that I love. I love the way he brings that kind of stretch run and but it's also out of the spread. It's not out of double tight with H backs and tight ends. He's able to incorporate the run game with a whole bunch of eye candy, and you can hand it to the H jet, you can throw it to the over route, or you can hand it off to the back. And it's more of an RPO approach, but it's out of the pistol or the shotgun with running the ball. If I could do a match made in heaven, I think it would be either um, Brady and Ponce, where Brady is the passing game coordinator and Frank Ponce is the running game coordinator, and they work together calling the offense. I think that would be perfect, and I think it could check off all of the list for me. If it is Coach Dorsey, also connected with Frank Ponce, I think that would work together well too. But if we're just going to go with one name, I think that's where you do the Browse or the Graham Harrell, because I don't know if they would technically be on for doing the co stuff because they can do both things and they're proven names to be able to do both things. But the other coaches, I would love to see them do a co-thing where they could work together. Why? You look at Joe Brady. There's conversation of whether he called plays or not at LSU during that season. Either way, it was a combination approach with him and another person. Then he goes to the NFL. He gets the offensive coordinator gig where he was calling plays on its own, and things didn't work out. So I don't really have a dog in that fight. I'm just letting you all know from what I've done in the research, he didn't. But then there's also conversations of he did help call plays at LSU. So I just kind of leave it at that. And he broke records nonetheless. So, if he could come and do that here at Miami, it would be really good. And then, like I said, with Ken Dorsey, Coach Dorsey, he has yet to call plays too. So I think him working together with a Frank Pounce in his running game would be very, 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 very nice.
It's one of those situations with Brady where you can take the evidence of what the offense became under him and how prolific and all of that, but then it's hard to get a gauge because it was such a short time period where he came from the New Orleans Saints. I don't know in what capacity he was there. Passing game coordinator, do you know?
Where?
At with the Saints, Brady?
Brady was let's look it up. I think he was a passing game coordinator or wide receivers coach too. It was something very minuscule, but it blew up at LSU. So
obviously he's with the Saints, and if Sean Payton's hiring him and employing him, you got to think that that's a great endorsement. Then he goes to LSU. My point is, you didn't really get to see him work with other quarterbacks, other sets of receivers. Those three receivers just were crazy good. And obviously Joe Burrow became the number one selection in the draft. So it's one of those things where you're trying to weigh out how much of that was talent on the field versus what did he do to the LSU offense to change it?
Yeah, so according to the research, he was just an offensive assistant for the Saints. It isn't giving a specific name. And then when it came to the he wasn't even the quarterbacks coach with the LSU. He was wide receiver and passing game coordinator. You get what, like, I'm trying to be very professional about this, but this fan base has taken his name and ran with it. And I'm like, if you do any research, it's kind of varying degrees as to what his true impact on that LSU season. And again, I'm not trying to disrespect him by any means. He's done an amazing job as to some of his stops, excluding the Panthers. It was very bad. But the NFL is a different gig. It's on a whole different level of preparation and execution and level of talent. But if you were to do some research, I think it would be some cause to pause on the whole Joe Brady hype train, in my opinion. I could be wrong, though. Could be wrong, man. Could be wrong.